we are going to talk about an issue that happened yesterday in Parliament House with regards to Adwoa Safo. Let's watch this video.
Speaker Alban Baben ruled that the Privileges Committee report is not final, but the seat of the Member of Parliament for Domikwabenya, Adwoa Safo, should be declared vacant for failing to provide an explanation for her absence. Delivering the ruling, the Speaker noted that the reports of the committee must be placed before the whole House.
The committee says, oh, this reason is reasonable. This reason is not reasonable. It's not also final. It's for the House that will go through it, because the mandate given to an MP representation is so crucial that it cannot be left to the subjective view of any person or group of people, but the whole House. Please, honorable members, this voting is a motion, and this House will continue to deliberate and debate on it and take a final decision. I so rule.
The Swami MP said the ruling is unfortunate and unconstitutional.
You will recollect that on the day of the referral, the Speaker made an emphatic statement that after the referral, he requires the committees to submit their reports, and he said, when check the hands up, that Parliament would not debate the reports, but Parliament shall have to vote on the reports. On that day, I disagreed with him that that is not what the Constitution provides. Today, the same person has clawed back what he said and is saying that the report should be submitted to Parliament, and then Parliament will have to debate the report and then vote on it. The same thing, two different rulings from the Speaker. And both rulings are inconsistent with the Constitution.
Right, many people staying with us. Benjamin Opoku Aye is my guest this morning. He is a Senior Programs Officer, Parliamentary Network Africa, and we're going to be talking about this issue. You can also send your thoughts with us, share your thoughts with us by calling the number 0302908607. You can as well send us WhatsApp messages on 05023477074. Good morning. Good to have you here.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Right. I hope you're doing well.
I'm very fine.
Right. So what has been your take on the whole confusion that has erupted in Parliament with regards to the Adwoa Safo issue?
Okay. Thank you very much. I think that we need to understand that it's not only a matter relating to Adwoa Safo. So the issue has to do with 3 members of Parliament, right? You have the Honorable Henry Korte, you have the Honorable Ken, and then also Adwoa Safo, who are 3 members who happen to have absented themselves from Parliament for more than 15 days. And when it comes to the procedures of Parliament or even the Constitution, where any member of Parliament absents themselves for more than 15 days, the Constitution or the rules of Parliament says that that person vacates their seat, right? And so that is what has been going on, and members now trying to explain how they would move for these members to either vacate their seats or give them the opportunity to explain themselves as it relates to the being referred to the Committee of Privileges. Yes.
So would it be that Parliament is trying to protect their own with regards to Adwoa Safo being sacked and all of that?
Well, I wouldn't say Parliament is trying to protect its own. I think it's a matter of the rules of proceedings, a matter of the Constitution, and a matter of the speaker who would rule on this matter. So when you come to, or when you go to parliament, the speaker has that authority to rule on some of these issues, and the ruling of the speaker is what the parliament goes with, right? And so you recall that even before parliament went on recess, just on the last sitting day, the motion came up, or the debates came up for the speaker to rule. But because of the technicalities of the issues and all of that, he thought he would have to think through it before delivering his judgment. So he postponed the meeting. Has resumed. He's supposed to rule again, and now he comes to say that, well, so of course in all of these, the majority leader has been opposing his ruling or his explanation of the rules, that so long as the committee has recommended and has submitted his report or their report to the plenary, Parliament does not have to debate it. For the speaker, the plenary or Parliament, members of Parliament would have to debate the recommendations of the committee. So this is where we are now, whether Parliament has that authority or mandate to debate a committee's report, or this report is final. That is where we are currently.
So what are your thoughts? What should you think should have been done in this case?
Well, you know, the Constitution states it clearly, right? And so I'm not a lawyer though, but I mean it's just in the Constitution and right also in the rules of Parliament, the standing order precise that if a member absents him or herself for more than 15 days, that person has to vacate their seat, right? And so for us, even right from the last meeting, we have been saying that, and I mean Parliamentary Network Africa, from our records, we glean that these members have indeed absented themselves for more than 15 days, which means it goes against the Constitution, it goes against the standing orders of Parliament. So it's in line for them to vacate their seats. But the procedure, the process of they getting to now vacate or they leaving Parliament is where we are now. So a motion was brought to the floor for these and there are many ways that a member of Parliament can present an issue for discussion or interrogation in Parliament. One of it is to present a motion. One of it is to, of course, other ways to do that. But in this case, a motion was presented for these members' attitude or behavior to be investigated, which Adwoa Safo is part of, right? And so when it was referred to the Committee of Privileges, the committee sat and all of, on it and all of that. For me, I think that it's a matter of the committee's recommendations, and of course, you know, Parliament, the committee's decision is not a final decision, right? So Parliament has to deliberate, to discuss the committee's reports. It is after the deliberation in plenary that when members have voted, when 2/3 of the members have voted, that these members should vacate their seats, or in this case, Adwoa Safo should vacate their seats, then they can go ahead and do so. So the committee's recommendations is not final here.
So who has the final say?
Well, in this case, the final say lies in Parliament, members of Parliament, right? Not even the Speaker. So from the Speaker's ruling yesterday, he actually says that the Parliament or members of Parliament will have to discuss, would have to debate the recommendations of the committee. And so it's for the whole of Parliament, the whole of the 275 members of Parliament to decide whether 3 of their colleagues, 3 of the MPs, which Adwoa Safo is part of, should vacate their seats.
So the position of the minority, let's talk about that. It looks like they've not done anything to support it. Is it a cause for alarm?
Well, you wouldn't want to say it's a cause for alarm, because I mean Parliament also involves a lot of politics, and these are politicians, and so, well, for any decision you take, you look at how it affects your political your political points or advantage and all of that. And so Well, in as much as Safo belongs to the majority, I wouldn't say, because it's something that can happen in both ways, to any of the members in parliament, whether majority or minority. So I think it's only a case that, well, some members have said that indeed we have to interrogate the decision or the behavior of these members, but as a caucus or as a group, they haven't come out to officially declare their stance on this. And I wouldn't say that it's something that we should be worried about, because of course it may be their own politics that they are playing and all of that.
But it looks like some of her constituents want her out. What do you make of that?
Yes, and I think it's in order for the constituents to express themselves or be angry at what's going on at the moment in Parliament in regards to their member of Parliament. A member of Parliament is elected to represent his or her constituents, right, to represent their voice. So if for all of these months, for all of these days, their member of Parliament has been absent from Parliament, then it calls for some actions to be taken. But in the system that we practice, we do not have. So in some systems, you would have midterm elections where constituents would have the opportunity to whether allow their representatives to move on or drop them, right? We don't have such systems here. The best the constituents can do is to present a petition to Parliament for consideration, right? There is no procedure that perhaps the constituents can raise a motion or no, unless they want to use other members of Parliament, which in this case has come to the floor, that the question of whether they should vacate or not, for a member of Parliament to present a motion in Parliament, which has been ongoing for some time on the behavior of the 3 MPs. So the constituents can only voice out their anger, and perhaps they can also petition the Speaker of Parliament to take an action.
Right. Let's talk about the 2 MPs. That's Honorable Henry Korte and then Honorable Kennedy Ejapon. What do you think will be their fate?
I think their fate, all the 3 MPs would have similar fates. So if Parliament is to say that, well, we are going to vote on the committee's report, then they'll have to decide for all 3 of them, whether all 3 of them would have to remain in Parliament or they would have to vacate their seats because they have been absented for more than 15 days.
But it looks like the 2 of them have reported to Parliament, and I think they also gave genuine reasons. Will the sanction go for them as well?
Yes, and so that is where these 2 appeared before the committee, right? And so yes, the committee's reports or the committee will make recommendations on these people, and again it comes back to the committee's report as to whether the explanation they gave to the committee was satisfied with the explanation they gave. So it's for Parliament to interrogate those recommendations from the committee. If the committee want these members to still be in Parliament, remain in Parliament, then so be it. The plenary or MPs will decide. When it comes to Adwoa Safo'S issues, the committee will also make recommendations to same whether MPs, the decision that they would take or they would want the House to take. So in all of the 3, their fate really lies in the House of Parliament.
Right. Now, let's talk about this. During the deliberation on the e-levy issue, there was this issue of an imposter, Adwoa Safo, of which the NPP MPs defended. It looks like now they want her removed. What could be the issue?
Well, it's an issue. So just as I mentioned,
but before you come to that, do you think she was present actually on that day for the deliberation?
Well, from the records, right? From the records, and if you want to tell whether an MP was present or not, the votes and proceedings of Parliament, or the handout of Parliament is there for you to see. So from the records, we have Adwoa Safo being present, right? So from the records,
she was
present, right? Whether she was the one in the videos or the recordings we are seeing from the records of Parliament, Adwoa Safo was present, right? On the issue of the reaction of majority members or majority caucus, I think it boils down to a matter of you getting fed up with what your colleague is doing and may not be doing right, you trying to get them on board and still they're not playing to the ball, and so you get frustrated. You feel, well, we've spoken to her, we've done what we're supposed to do, but now we think that we need to do what's supposed to be done. So that's what perhaps may cause them to now be taking this action that they are taking.
Right, interesting submissions right there. Article 97 clause 1 says a member of parliament can vacate his seat if A, upon dissolution of parliament, B, if he or she is elected as a speaker of parliament, C, absenteeism without reasonable permission written to the speaker. Kindly explain to us this article and when it is applicable.
Okay, so per the Article 91, 1, as you read,
Right.
Is it 97?
It's 97 actually.
97, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Article 97 states that a member of parliament shall vacate his seat, and it gives the circumstances or the conditions under which the member of parliament will vacate. It says first, upon a dissolution of parliament, which means that after a session of parliament, so after parliament has been dissolved, so after every 4 years, parliament is dissolved for a new parliament to now come in to conduct business. After that session, after that whole year of parliament, then parliament is dissolved. In the second instance, if he is elected as a speaker of parliament, that is, if amongst the MPs, the speaker is elected, that particular member vacates their seats. So it means that other processes would have to be taken to fill that particular seat. And then the third, which says if he is absent without the permission in writing of the speaker, and he is unable to offer a reasonable explanation to the Privileges Committee from 15 sittings of meeting of Parliament during any period that Parliament has been summoned to meet and continues to meet. So in this case, we are referring to the last meeting, the second meeting of Parliament, really. Okay, so these men absented themselves for 15 days or 15 sitting days or 15 sittings. So what it only means is that these members have flouted the constitution, and so they have to vacate their seats, right? But as I mentioned again, the procedures and the parliamentary, gimmicks around it is what is now keeping them in the house, and whether they should be removed by way of a motion or the committee's report can just remove them and all of that. But the constitution is clear that if a member absents him or herself for more than 15 days, they vacate their seats.
Right. What if you give genuine reasons for absenteeism?
Exactly. So that is where they are called to the Committee of Privilege to now explain themselves. And so when you read down, it gives that explanation also that they are called. So if they are able to justify why they were absent, then the committee would make a recommendation as to whether or not they should vacate their seats. Yeah.
Do you think Parliament is actually serious in applying punitive sanctions on its members?
Well, Parliament has a common language. It says we are masters of our own rules. So they decide what action they want to take, with the speaker as the chair or the president of the house, right? And so, well, basically the rules of procedure or the standing orders are also there for them to go. Of course, they can't go out of that, with the constitution in mind also. So yes, they may want to, give explanations. They may want to, use the politics of the circumstance to, cover up some of the things. But what the Constitution says or what the standing order says is very clear. And for that, you cannot hide it. And so that is where we are.
Right. Do you think her seat should be declared vacant?
Yes, and I said from the beginning that for us at Parliamentary Network Africa, right from the last meeting, we have been saying that so long as the MP has been absent for more than 15 days or 15 sittings, the Constitution says that they should vacate their seats. It means that they are not representing their people. It means that the reason for which their people voted them to Parliament, they are not doing it. So if you are not ready to represent the voice of your people, which means the whole of the constituency of Dom, Kwabenya, is not represented in Parliament, then why continue to occupy the seat? So it calls for any MP at all to vacate their seat.
So you think her seat should be declared vacant,
Yes.
per your own view?
Yes.
Okay, right. So let's